Yeah. So he described that as a global village, right? And he believed that all human beings could exist as brothers and sisters. Okay, so, and if you take the case of Samuel Johnson, uh, the famous British man, Britisher, who was almost a Renaissance man. He did so many things like creating the dictionary, creating he even contributed to medicine. Samuel Johnson basically said the whole idea of patriotism and nationalism is the last resort of a scoundrel. Okay, because he believed in the idea of one world. Now, ask anybody today, tell them these things, and what will you find? You will find that people will say, these are not possible. These are opposite categories. These are not categories that are, you know, uh, what should we say? These are not categories that um, can be sustained realistically. So many people do not understand Plato and level the same kind of criticism against him when he said the ideal is the real. Okay, and when I say many people, what I am basically saying is that there are a number of scholars, some of them philosophers themselves, and these are people who are uh, uh, basically, uh, what should I say? These are people uh, who believe that Plato was talking rubbish, okay, which is really not the case. Like I told you, Plato was perhaps the greatest of the Greeks in more ways than one. Plato was extremely radical. Plato had ideas which were way, way ahead of his time. And Plato showed an acumen where, unlike the sophists, he believed in the human potential without all the negative things associated with that, such as, making a man-centric universe without making, what do we say, without selling knowledge. He didn't do all that. And he is the first documented philosopher. He's the first documented Western philosopher who laid a great deal of importance on uh, education, which is something that very few Western philosophers have done. In the Indian tradition, there has been more of an emphasis on education, but in the Western tradition, there hasn't been so much. So for Plato, his endeavor is something that starts with a system of education. And you will see that not only did he create a philosophy in which education occupies a prime position, not only did he do that, he also created a system of education where he himself, as a teacher, imparted education through that system that he created. Now, so Plato was a teacher. His student was Aristotle. Aristotle, unlike Plato, is not an Athenian. He is not an Athenian. You will find that Aristotle was born in the province of Stagira, Stagira, born in the province of Stagira, but because of the brilliance that was there in Athens, and because of the emphasis on education that Plato had put in place, you will find that there is a, what should I say? There is a not attempt, I shouldn't call it an attempt. Aristotle actually studied with Plato. He was a student of Plato's, and he was what what do we say? He was somebody who was a part of the academy that Plato ran. Now, a number of people while teaching will tell you that the name of Plato's school was academy. Sorry, that is absolutely wrong. Academy in Greek means learning, studying and learning. That's what it means. So if Plato was running an academy, it basically means that he was running a place where he would impart education and learning. That's why it was called the academy. Okay, it's not like so and so academy, IAS coaching academy, not that kind of a thing. Academy is a generic Greek term for education and learning. And since he was imparting learning, he was somebody who was whose place of learning was called academy. So Aristotle was a student of the academy, but Aristotle did not get along very well with Plato later on. When I say did not get along very well, it doesn't mean that they fought and they were enemies. No, the fundamental premises of Plato's education system and Aristotle, who was also a teacher, though he does not have a system of education in place in any of his philosophical works, you will find that uh, they disagreed with each other in terms of their approach to education. So Aristotle made this rather famous statement where he said, much as I love Plato, I love the truth even more. The truth here is that which is written with a capital T. I think we have been through the difference between truth with a capital T and truth with a small t. With a small t, truth is the opposite of a lie or something that's not true. And with a capital T, it basically means principle, the fundamental principle on which the world runs. Please don't confuse it with the primary substance that I talked to you about when I made a brief uh, uh, what should I say, mention of the Milesians. They believed in the primary substance. Thales believed that water was the primary substance. You find that uh, uh, Anaximenes believed that air was the primary substance. It's not that kind of a thing that you're talking about. A better example I gave you the other day from the Buddha. He said dukkha or sorrow is that truth because it is sorrow that runs this world. So the principle, the primary principle that runs a particular world is that which is called truth. So Aristotle was making not a small statement here. He's making a very, very big statement. The very big statement that he's making is, much as I love Plato, he loves Plato, I love the truth more, which means In Plato's education, Aristotle did not find the truth. Okay? That is what you need to understand. In Plato's education, Aristotle did not find the existence of the truth. So it's a major statement, a major criticism. And after we finish doing Aristotle, we'll have a look at, uh, what should I say? We'll have a look at what Plato said and did, and what Aristotle said and did, and see, is it really, really correct that Aristotle is making this allegation that Plato was incapable, or Plato's teaching was incapable of generating the truth. We'll go into that after we finish Aristotle. For now, let us look at, if we have to understand Plato, I already told you his teacher was Socrates. Socrates was almost everyone's teacher. Anyone who cared to go and sit and listen to him, ask him questions, Socrates would teach. Socrates was, in that sense, an itinerant teacher. An itinerant teacher in the sense, wherever he went, he didn't sit at one place. He was somebody who moved around Athens, and wherever people asked him questions, he was quite happy to give answers to those questions in his own enigmatic way. Socrates didn't give answers in a straightforward way. He would give them in an enigmatic way. They were like riddles, his answers. So it is for that reason that you technically can't consider him to be a teacher, but he was definitely a teacher of Plato. Plato says he owes what he knows to Socrates. But it is not just Socrates that Plato owes what he knows to. He also is somebody who owes to Parmenides, and he also owes to Pythagoras. Both Parmenides and Pythagoras were two very, very big influences on Plato. Let us try to understand first how Parmenides was an influence on Plato. If you remember Parmenides, if you remember the example I gave you about his, what should I say, about his spat, ongoing spat with Heraclitus. One of the examples that I had cited was that Heraclitus said you don't step into the same river twice. Okay, so for him, the river was flowing. If you ask the same question of, uh, if you look at what uh, Parmenides had to say, he said, you step into the same river n number of times because all movement is purely illusory. It is something which is not real. It is purely illusory. And since it is purely illusory, you should not believe that knowledge is knowledge of moving things. True knowledge for Parmenides is the knowledge of things that don't move. That is the true knowledge. Now, if you look at Plato, Plato also believed this. Plato believed that things are moving at the present, but if they reach perfection, then they will have no necessity to move. Just imagine if something is perfect, okay? Something is absolutely perfect. Why does the thing have to move? If it is imperfect, then it has to move towards perfection. But if something is already perfect, then it doesn't have the necessity to move. That is what Plato says. Now, here is where the influence of Pythagoras comes. Plato talks about a particular realm, REALM, realm. He talks about a particular realm. That particular realm that he talks about is that which he calls the realm of the forms. Okay? The realm that he's talking about, he named it the realm of the forms. Some people also use it in the singular and say the realm of form, but that I think is not really an accurate uh, way of describing what he said, because there is a plurality there. So realm of form is not correct. And you will also see that there is a theory of form that is in the singular. This is not in Plato. This is in Aristotle. Okay, Aristotle had a theory of form, which is very, very, very different from the realm of forms that Plato talked about. The difference between them is the difference between the two theories, that is, or rather the realm of forms and the theory of form. The difference between them is the difference between the earth and sky. That is the difference, magnitude of the difference. Okay, now if we have to understand the realm of forms, then we have to understand that Plato, like Pythagoras, believed in life after death and uh, life after death, and in also the recreation of life once again. Okay, so he also subscribed to the idea of a soul. He subscribed to the idea of a soul, and he said that the realm of forms is where the souls exist. Okay, a soul is without a body, and it exists for him in the realm of the forms. Now, I'm not going to go further than this today, because if I start the argument on the realm of forms, that itself will take quite some time. And I'm sure you have a class after this. So we'll talk about souls and the realm of forms and the idea of perfection tomorrow. Uh, I would like you to, yes, I would like you to come back to the other paper, classes on the other paper, institutions and their origins. I can assure you that whoever is teaching you those papers are not doing what they are supposed to do. Okay, so you attend their classes, not a big deal. From Monday onwards in the evenings, we'll have half an hour classes where I'll basically explain to you historically how these things have come into being. None of them was deliberately created. None of them was deliberately created. Whatever offices whatever institutions came into being because of historical necessity. That is what needs to be established, not functions of the executive, functions, not that kind of a stuff. And the person who's teaching talked to me, and I saw absolutely no point in taking that conversation forward. I said, go ahead and teach. Uh, so if you want the right information, and that's a very, very important paper as honors students. It's a very important paper. So from Monday in the evening at 5:30, I'll take a class from 5:30 to 6 and teach you about those papers. I mean, about those institutions, how they have come into being. Okay, I'm not teaching only the parliament, I'll teach all the other things that are there: democracy, parliament, executive, everything, separation of powers, everything, all of them, both in the context of Britain and in the context of US, where there are two different histories generating two different types of institutions of the same name. Okay, then, thank you very much. And I'm sorry we started a little late. Apologies about that. And tomorrow we'll start on time. Thank you very much.